going on, everybody? Gustav the 13th here with another video checking out the newest suit for GBO2 on console. We have this for the 5th of February 2026. We finally had the V-Gundam, except it's not the regular V-Gundam, it's just the V-Gundam Hexa. Still bumped it up to 650. It is a support, ground and space to space preference here, melee priority 1 and a rarity of 3. That being said, somebody who I'm using this account for put another upgrade on it that screwed up the base stats, so we're gonna have to look at this through here instead. So, quick look at the stats and all that. Let's look at the weapons first. So we have our beam rifle here. We got a beam saber, 2500 for the power on that, 2400 for the rifle itself, ammo 7, range of 400. In general, the range for this, the maximum range, without extra stuff for charge and all that, is going to be 400 meters. With the overhang pack launch, we'll get into that later, being 300. Also got some decent Vulcans on this. Power of 160, ammo of 50, range of 250, reload time of 6.5. In general, the reload times on here still in the mid to low teens. 12 seconds for the rifle. The overhang cannon is 16 seconds. These beam smart gun, which is also just the laundry pull here, is 15 seconds. And then when you launch this, we'll talk about this now. So launches overhang pack is a massive projectile offering long suppression, but must stop to fire. Partially nullifies enemy ballistic resistance, and target takes damage even when the shield is hit. After launch, mobility will increase, and the enhanced offense system skill is provided. However, this weapon cannot be used again until redeployment, so once you launch it, you'll lose your overhang cannon and you will not be able to do it again until you die. That being said, you do technically have 2 melee because you do have the beam shield here. A lot of people are still trying to do the usual stuff of going in for this and then smacking around with that to do extra combos once they close in with their stuns and stuff. Especially once they launch their overhang cannon. But the overhang cannon itself is a 2-pulse shot normally with a piercing stun shot when you actually charge it up. But the pulse on this for the two shot is actually really good for accumulation. You're talking kind of similar to the Zolot in that regard, which is actually really nice and also makes it susceptible to itself. So anytime you have 2 of these guys running around with Minoski craft, bang bang, and they just kind of try to shoot each other down. It's a little bit rough. That being said, that's kind of the generalized stuff for these weapons. Let's talk about the skills then. We have high performance radar 3, high performance scope 2, observation data link 1, scout parallel processing device 1, which, I mean, I get it. I don't really know how many people are going to be going out of their way to do scope unless they're trying to quick scope or something. Frontline support system 2, which means 10% extra speed on the respawn time there for up to 50%. So don't bring 5 of these, but you know, you can help make people be able to come out faster here. High performance aerospace gimbal, since it is a spacesuit. Flight control program 2, anti-blast stabilizer, high performance balancer, high spec AMBAC 2, melee combo controller 1, aerial melee system 1, force injector 2, flat booster 1, resist move 1, and Minoski flight system 1. Moving on from here, we have for the stats 23, 26, and 23 for the ballistic beam and melee defense, 19k on the health. Range strength is 38, melee strength is 27, movement speed is 130, top speed is 205, thruster gauge is 65, turning speed is 69. And for the part slots, we have 15, 15, and 18 for close, medium, and long. Alright, now that adds out of the way, we're going to take this in. Just understand that when we go into practice, this is going to be a little bit stronger than it normally would be. But it is what it is. Hurry up. So, let's check out a couple things. The important thing when we're talking about the overhang cannon is that this actually has some heavy DC, so does this. Anything that it hits, you're talking about a pretty good chunk of accumulation. Also, pretty much just only half of that pulse from long And actually, when it comes to the long fire on this, as you can see, it's a little bit over half on there. It might be a little bit hard to see because my big ass head's in the way. And then the charge on this is just a longer Groby beyond that. Also keep in mind, as always, the Minowski craft means that you don't really lose boost as long as you're doing neutral movement. If you boost, then you will, and this actually does have a pretty decent initial boost cost. Yeah, and that's not a type disadvantage too. Like, that's not too bad at all. Just make sure. Yeah. All but a sliver when you do that full Groby. But one thing to keep in mind here, and this is something that I kind of bitch about during the match that we're going to be using, is that you can't steer this, unlike how you kind of can when it comes to the Zaki Machinery support version. You just straight up nut up when you do that. The rifle, pretty self-explanatory, just a regular thing. Let's also check out the stuns for the Vulcans. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. So 15 out of 50 for that. Good rate of fire. Definitely can build up people pretty easy with that. And of course, if we get into the charge shot for this, charge actually does a pierce. Instant stun for that. And then for the oh shit button, heavy stagger when you launch your pack. Keep in mind, like you saw there, that the initial launch does have a little bit of wind up before it actually goes full speed. So you're gonna have to really hope that they're beelining for you hard, or you're gonna have to be a little bit more premeditated about it in order to make sure that it has enough time to reach the target properly. That being said, I am gonna kill myself because we need to go and hit the base. And I want to have my full setup for that. Right out of the gate, I will say that it doesn't really have a lot of build-up when it comes to the base itself, but you can still show it off a little bit all the same. Okay. And we jump back in. I was saying in one of the matches too that I love that they're using the laundry pole being folded up on the leg as an excuse to not give us the missiles instead of just putting it on the back. I really wish that they would, because having missiles on something like this as an extra follow-up stun-wise would be amazing. But, you know, lamenting things that could have been. As you can see here, even with the overhang cannons, it does not really produce a whole lot of base damage at all. This is something that you can contribute with over time. The charge shots really don't make too much of a difference in general. But for the most part, outside of maybe... So the nice thing is that even though you can't base bust, you do have 2 piercing shots to stop other people from planting with. And the laundry pole, you don't have to charge up to get that piercing effect. So that's pretty nice. And something that you definitely need to keep in mind. So yeah, this is definitely a support that's more so geared towards just trying to grind through any units that it runs into. This is... And I'd say it does it really well. Especially when you consider that's a solid downswing. Like, that actually gives you some good traversal on there. Between that and the shield for a little bit of stun mix-up and stuff. But this does have to compete with a lot of other suits. We'll talk about that a little bit after we talk about the example match, which we are going to put right around here. Just talking about something else. I'm not really sure what he's showing there. Okay, anyway, let's try this again. Oh.
中継地点の制圧を確認。
Nah. Fuck.
機体の損傷は軽微。
Yeah, I'm gonna die. This guy's like, oh, I gotta take their sweet time. Oh my god.
これ以上は限界。モビルスーツタイプ。
Yeah, I have a feeling this isn't gonna be as fun this time.
再出撃の場所と方法を選択してください。出撃をお願いします。味方が敵モビルスーツを撃破しました。
Yeah, running in the Rev squatters is always fun. Oh my god.
敵機の撃破を確認。味方が敵モビルスーツを撃破しました。味方、中継地点敵に奪われました。敵機の撃破を確認。
These guys are gonna camp. Fuck. So. Bye bye.
中継地点の制圧を確認。味方機が撃破されました。
No, I went down a little bit. Oops. I really don't like the laundry pole too much. Like, the fact that you immediately nut up and can't move it at all really sucks. And it just drifts you whichever way you were going. I like how we're both just reflexively like, no. Oh my god, dude. Hit him, hit him, hit him, hit him. The one little scary thing about this is that the initial boost on this is worse than like the regular victory because it's a support. And having a harder stop for these little shitters, kinda satisfying. Honestly, fuck these guys. Oh, oops. Hit him. There you go. You know, I would love to tell you if I wasn't ass at math. kill me because I don't have my pack anymore. I'm a dead man. Thank you. Shouldn't have launched. It wasn't even a good time to launch it. Yeah, unlike the Shenanigans Stein, it does not grow its backpack back. It is once per life. Telling you, man, support tax. They don't let you do fun things. Only once, just for the novelty. Puritanism impulse, and then that's it. Lord. That's bad that the ASL can't even track him when he's just doing neutral move like. He just bombed on him. Damn. Oh, well. That was the poor choice. Oh. Get him! Oh, did he die? No. Did they do it this time right? When they finally had to do an adjustment on it? And maybe it'll shit out an entire new backpack. Yeebee. Yeah, definitely not bad for the output. It feels a little bit tense sometimes because, like, the tracking for some of this is a bit whack. Laundry pull is a bit of a pain, but if you can actually land that prolonged one, or just catch them in it, especially when you're dealing with, like, really tanky suits, you can definitely chew at them really good. I'm not doing a bunch of flip dip melee bullshit in this thing. I refuse. So that was our match in the V-Dash. Overall, not a bad suit. Definitely feels like it has a lot of allowance for just doing what it has to do, doing a lot of accumulation, and having some good output. Now, that being said, you do have to work at it a little bit and sacrifice at least a bit of boost in order to get a good amount of output out of it. You have to keep in mind the fact that this is not a ballistic heavy suit outside of yeeting your pack, and a lot of suits at this cost at 650 and above are going to have a lot of beam resistance on them. That being said, there are a lot of things that normally would be super resistance to even accumulative damage, and the overhang cannon has just enough potency because of the percentages they gave each burst that it's really able to kind of keep shit in its place. That being said, as you can imagine, the RF Camphor and honestly the RF Gilgug and other things like that, anything with a heavy stagger or just a lot of real intense persistence and accumulation of its own can immediately swap this thing out of the air. It's also kind of susceptible to itself in that regard because the overhang cannons are so strong that way. So just things to keep in mind, right? As long as you are a small enough target in the air and have enough pressure from your enemy team or from your friendly team to keep going, you'll be okay. There's going to be situations where you run into beam resistance heavy units, that kind of make it feel a little bit tense because you're not doing as much damage as you probably feel like you should be. But in general, you're going to be able to suppress them pretty well. Are there other suits at this cost support-wise that are just as good, if not a little bit better, like the Magna and things like that? Yeah. Is 650 a very volatile cost that makes it a little bit hard to be a support in general? You bet your ass. But can you make it work with this suit? And is it better than having other things out there? Honestly, yeah. Especially because of the amount of stun mix-up and accumulation that you have with the overhang. As long as you can maintain that buffer, you are going to be doing a pretty easy service to your team, especially because the overhang cannon in particular, because of that burst just being a 2-round burst that's not instant stun, it's very low impact. Keep in mind that you got to be a little bit careful of this because it is instant stun, and of course the longer Gurobi will keep looping them. But anything that has a lot of maneuver armor or resistance on your team is going to be able to go right through that, which is pretty nice as well. So try to be careful, especially if you do this, because that hits in a decent splash, and that is a heavy stagger. But overall, definitely not something I would go out of my way to get. But if you're looking for a support outside of the stuff that's already present and you don't really have some of the more obvious picks already for 650, I'd say this is a decent one to try to get, especially because we do have that guaranteed essentially 4-step, and they say 5 steps, but 2 of them are discounted. I think you could do a lot worse, and for a good while I think this will hold people when it comes to a solid support choice at this cost. So if you really absolutely need to have a support to run around in, give this a go. Outside of that, you can probably save for whatever other crazy bullshit they're going to come out with later on in the month. But that's the long and short of it for the V-Hexa. I do not have this on my main account, so I'm probably not going to be able to run this for dailies too much. And I'm probably going to just see what's going to be going on for the next week. But we will be fighting at the relevant cost, so we'll be seeing plenty of these buzzing around when we do our dailies every day. So be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Hang out when we do our streams on YouTube and Twitch for GBO2 and other things. And until next time, this is Goose on the 13th. I'll talk to you guys in the next video.